Welcome back to Real Questions. I'm Mandy.
And I'm Wynell.
And today we're going to talk about when our faith just feels like it's not enough.
Yeah, and I think that above all, just really emphasizing today, we really want to talk about our circle of influence.
Yeah.
And, Mandy, when we talk about circle of influence, my circle of influence is very small. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but when we say about faith not being enough, we have some very real people that we can think about.
Well, and when you say circle of influence, you mean like the people you allow to influence you.
To speak into your life.
Yeah.
Because we choose who we allow to speak into our lives. And I have seen many people struggle because they do have the wrong people around them speaking into their life. For example, I'll take my mother. When my mother was dying with cancer and the Lord healed her, and I know that's not the testimony for everybody, but the Lord did heal her, and she lived until she was 85, 86. She just passed away recently, actually. But, and she had over 100 tumors in her body. But there were some pastors who told my dad, I don't know why you're fasting and praying. Why don't you just take her to the hospital and let them do what they need to do? But my dad had a word from the Lord, and so what he did was he got a few people with him that wanted to fast and pray with him to believe for her. So, I think the important thing is that maybe, it's not always going to have the great ending, but still, when you are struggling and going through things, who are the people standing with you and what are they actually speaking into your life right now?
Yeah. No, that's so good. And the thought that just came to me is that vulnerability piece. So yes, we have faith. Yes, we stand on our faith. Yes, we believe that God's going to show up. We believe that he's going to do what he said he was going to do. But life is life. And there are times when we're just tired, or there's times that it's not that your faith isn't enough. It's that you need more. Like, you need more stuff around you. You need the people around you to stand in faith with you and give you time to rest. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like you feel like, if I'm gonna let this faith shield down, I'm gonna sink the boat.
Right.
Like, I can't not have faith, because then it's not gonna happen. And so then you get this, it's almost like it's in your power, not in God's power. And it's not that we
Correct.
mean to do that. It's just that we don't want to not believe what God told us, but things end up being really, really hard, and it's scary, and your faith just gets tired. I guess that's the word I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Like even Peter, like he was walking on water. He had faith to step out.
Yeah.
He had faith to step on the water. He's the only one that ran out there. But the second the waves started hitting him, he gets kind of credited of not having faith because he started to sink. But I think he was the most powerful because he was the one that went.
Yeah, he stepped out there. He went for it, didn't he?
And then he learned, and his faith probably ended up being double or triple what any of the other ones on the boats was, because he went through that experience with Jesus. He was on the water. He was in the storm. He saw the possibility of death. He saw the possibility of what could happen, and Jesus saved him. And so then his faith grew.
I think, Abraham came to a time, Moses, where they needed people to hold up their arms in prayer. I know, thinking about people, especially who go through physical situations to where they get almost a death sentence, and they've prayed and prayed and prayed and believed for miracles. I want you to know that the fact that you feel like your faith is not enough because you don't have people around you praying, recognize that because you are in it and you are living it, sometimes, your strength emotionally and physically is not there,
Yeah.
depending on what
Yeah.
you're going
A
through.
lot
And
of it's
this
just
is,
physical.
yeah, and
Yes.
this is where you want people to say, we've got this. Rest and let your body heal, but we are praying for you that your faith faileth not.
So good. So good. And let me just say on that too, is you have to be honest. Like, you have to be vulnerable and honest with the reality of what's going on in your life, and you can't do that with a huge circle. You
No.
can't do that with the mass majority. You have to have an inner circle of people that you trust, that you can be completely honest with and say, "Hey, things don't look good.
Yeah.
I'm in the storm, just like Peter, I'm on the water and I'm sinking."
Or
That's
I'm in a
reality.
lot of pain.
Yeah, that's reality. It's real. It's not a lie. It's not gonna be putting up a face shield that says, "God's got it. I'm dying inside, but God's got it. I'm hurting, but God's got it." Which God does have it. We know that. We all know that.
Correct.
But the reality of that moment is that I'm in pain. I need help, and so in that, then the people around you can really pray for you and start, and they go into overdrive. Usually, when you're honest and with an inner circle, honest with people you trust, honest with people that you can share with, 2 or 3, 4, I'm not saying a big group, okay?
Yeah.
But those people you can call up and say, "This is going on. I need you. I need you right now." Those people, when they see the vulnerability and they see the honesty of the situation, usually will kick it into overdrive and they start warring in the spirit for you, which is what you were saying, which is when someone comes beside you and holds your arms up,
Yeah.
just like with Moses.
And I think what is important there is when we say a small circle of influence, like you mentioned, 3, 4, I'd say even maximum of 5. You just need the people, not just the positive speakers. I'm not saying people who are just, "Oh, yeah, you can do this, you've got it." But you do have to have people who have the faith to believe
Yeah.
in miracles or
Yeah.
in, the fact that you can, whether it be a miracle here or a miracle in heaven, but you're willing to stand there and pray until they take their last
Yeah.
breath and
Right.
believe that a
Right.
miracle is going to take place. What you don't need is people standing there going, "Well, I don't know, this is what you get," or "You should have done this," or "You should." That is what you do not need during that time because it's not helpful and it doesn't bring any answers for
No,
you.
I have a friend of mine, that I used to go to church with, and their son, it's a beautiful story, but their son was, I'm thinking 5 or 6. He was very young. Maybe he was a very young child, fell into a pool and, drowned basically. And I can't remember now the exact amount of minutes that he was under the water, but it was a good period of time, and he was dead when they pulled him out. And, the wife of that couple had extreme faith. I'll just say she was like, I started rebuking death, started rebuking everything, and he was, like, unresponsive for 45 I mean, for a very long time. I don't wanna get the facts wrong, but it was a very long period of time that no one shoulda came back from, and they took him to Children's in Dallas, and they were, like, basically pronouncing him dead, and she said, "No, I will not believe that," and so they did mouth him out. They were doing stuff, and he did come back, he did resuscitate, and he was brain dead, really, basically. There was no life for them, and there was just kinda everybody around them there was no hope. And so she said, "Nobody's allowed in this room that does not have faith." And she would not let anybody on the floor. She would not let anybody on the ICU floor. She would not let anybody in that room. She said, "Only people that can pray. Only people that I trust." And for days, they prayed over him and fasted over, and he's alive and doing great now. I mean, he goes
There's a
to
movie about that too, about another woman who did the same. I think they were out on an ice they were ice skating or something, 3 boys, and then he ended up falling into the ice, and she did the exact same. Of saying that I can't even remember the name of it, but anyway, it doesn't matter, but it's the very real thing of saying, "No, if you can't believe and pray for the fact that there is going to be a miracle, then don't be here."
Yeah. Yeah.
Prefer that you just not bring that. I know a
Don't
lot of
bring the
people that are not Christians
negativity.
say
Yeah.
energy, but you don't wanna bring that negativity in
Don't
because
bring
it's
the
not helpful, and
negativity.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what the devil wants you to do,
Yeah. If
and
it does nothing else but plant doubt in your mind, it's not worth it. Your faith has to stay strong, and your spirit man has to stay strong. And in those situations, that you get weary. And when you get weary, well, look at Elijah, that was in the cave, that was so weary from life that he just
almost in depression.
yeah, he wanted to die. I mean, he wanted I mean, so but does his faith not strong? Was he not a man of God?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. I mean,
Sometimes
that
we
just
just
go
need to sleep. Sometimes we just need to sleep and have a snack. You know what I mean?
Yes. Go get a snack and then lay down, take a nap.
Yeah.
But, I also wanna say that faith is not denying what is truth, and I hear so many people, especially, I went through the whole era of the name it, claim it era, that you just named what you wanted and you never said what was actually wrong with you. That is not what faith is. Faith is you need to be able to say to people, "Listen, I've been diagnosed with this. This is what the doctors are saying. The scripture says, whose report will you believe?" So
Amen. Yeah.
you can clearly
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
"The doctor's report says that I won't make it or I won't live past 5 weeks, 6 months, whatever. But I believe that God is saying that
Yeah.
I can live." And that is what faith is, that you are able to speak against exactly what it is and then pray that the Lord will, heal that person. I mean, like
Amen.
my mother, when I said she had over 100 tumors, she didn't go around saying, "Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm just got a little pain," or, it's a sickness that we'll get through. She literally said, "This is what they have said about me. But I know God has told me that I am going to live and I'm going to see a miracle through this." And that's what the people around her help do.
Yeah, I heard a similar story from someone that's in part of the Trailblazer Network, and she's an amazing woman of faith, but she was telling me about her mother as well, who had very similar story, all these tumors, and the doctor kinda opened her up and said, "Oh, there's nothing I can do. I'm just gonna close her up and send her
Right.
home." And, she said the doctor came out very sympathetically to tell her the story. "Yeah, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do." And she said, "I appreciate you, and everything you've done everything you can, and you're a good doctor." She goes, "But you're not my God," something like that. She's like,
Right.
"But I will trust my God to do this." And she didn't have a word like your dad did. She was a young girl. She was her daughter was, I think, gonna graduate, and she's like, "My mother will see my daughter graduate." Something
Amen.
like that. She just believed that she would see, her granddaughter graduate. And not only did she see her granddaughter graduate, she lived many, many, many more years. But and God is a good God, and he will.
Yeah. I do think at times God honors that faith, and he just says, "Man, how can I not honor those who are, sticking it out right through to the end?" And so, when you feel like that your faith is not enough, do know that, God honors the fact that you still believe and you're still declaring even through your pain. I mean, my mother was the same. She was sent home. They basically said within a week she'd be dead, and she got worse and worse and worse. And my dad just kept on until finally he said, "I know the Lord has said it's done, and now I'm just waiting for the fruit." And it happened. But I mean, it is rare stories, but I think above all, just remember that until that person, or if you personally are going through this, recognize that you can have the faith to believe right until then. And if you don't receive the
That's where
physical
I was
healing
gonna go.
here,
Yeah.
then you will be rewarded in heaven and you will see that victory there. You'll no longer be in pain. It's the ones down here that have to grapple with the grief, isn't it?
Amen.